As a queer immigrant female engineer and part of OSPI's Diversity and Inclusion Task Force, I noticed that there is still some challenges implementing diversity and inclusion in the workplace. So what are your thoughts on this, and how do you think transportation leaders can go beyond their roles in creating a more inclusive space?
I think part of the challenge as leaders, especially in transportation organizations, which tend to be so technically focused in so many ways, is really to think about equity, diversity, and inclusion as a culture. Who's making decisions around hiring? What opportunities are you giving staff to engage? Focusing on the people that we are bringing into the organization and how we retain people. What I'm really kind of inspired by and motivated by is that it feels to me like a page has turned in the book. Some of the things I think we need to focus on as leaders and organizations is motivating people, giving them a lot of opportunity to get engaged, listen, and ask questions. And then also make sure that there's a culture that we're building.
Reducing carbon footprint has become a big topic of conversation for climate change, and various means of transportation contributes to use of fossil fuels. So what do you think some key initiatives could be to cultivate a shift towards clean transportation?
I don't really understand why cycling is such a divisive issue. I want to start there because I think that every time we make an improvement on our city streets for cycling, we not only make the road accessible for more people, and maybe people who can't afford a car or just want to have a healthy start and end to their day. So I think ultimately cycling is not only good for the environment and for the climate, but is also a way to make a more equitable solution for people. I truly believe that in order for us to manage kind of the broader congestion issue, which is ultimately what leads to in cities to part of our climate emergency, we need to give people the best options and choices to do the right thing more frequently for more trips. And so having a really strong, connected and safe cycling infrastructure is a critical piece of that. The ultimate goal of really making a connected network throughout the city. My goal is to try to minimize the process and the churn so that we can ultimately put our time and attention into building more.
There are a lot of people who lack emotional support and substantial network due to various reasons. One such group could be also international graduates who moved to Canada to join the labor force. What do you recommend these individuals to stay resilient, to grow despite the challenges, and to embrace their unique voice?
It's a difficult time for everybody, but it's an especially difficult time for people who have left home behind and have come to another place. WTS has been there throughout the pandemic with lots of opportunities for people to have conversations online, learning, mentorship programs and things that, while they were not exactly the same as they would be in person, certainly the conference, the annual dinner, all those things that we look forward to every year that we've not been able to do them in the same way. But professional organizations have been there for people. And I think if people haven't been able to take advantage of those opportunities or they didn't know about them, they're still there, and people should engage because you'll find an incredible group of like-minded people who, or maybe they're not like-minded, but they want to challenge you on issues that you care about, especially at WTS. That's a lively conversation pretty much every time. And so I would recommend that too.
As a female leader, how do you speak up for what you believe in, despite the gender stereotypes we have in the society? And how do you keep yourself motivated, and how do you handle conflict resolution?
I feel very fortunate to sit at tables where decisions get made, and I don't take that responsibility lightly. And I always think about that in the context of the decisions that we make at tables have implications for lots of other people. And lots of people are watching. That's where policy helps to, influence and make change to make sure that women's voices are being heard at the leadership level. I also try to get on a lot of hiring panels because I think one of the most important ways that we can have strong voices in the organization is to hire really good people. And sometimes you really have to speak up for people who maybe are not as well represented on the city's management team or on the staff team as they need to be to bring that diverse opinion.
As a leader in transportation, how are you advancing the values of diversity and inclusion?
I think about how to really be my best self. And I guess the best way to explain that is if the challenge is that there isn't enough diversity or inclusivity in the industry, and I'm in a position where I'm able to show that there are opportunities for people who look like me, then I'm going to make sure that I do my best job and I do it the most authentic way possible. And that's by being my best self. People seeing themselves in certain positions, representation. So if the next young girl sees me and they happen to find out that, oh, and she's an engineer, that will make me happy. The goal is to just be. And if that translates to, advancing myself in the industry, then I've done it the best way that I know how, and that's by being myself. And I think that helps to break down any stereotypes. They see me in them, even though we don't look alike.
I definitely benefited a lot from seeing women in engineering. I don't think I would be here if I hadn't seen someone oh, it's actually possible. What advice do you have for aspiring transportation professionals like me who's looking forward to graduating soon and joining the workforce?
It sounds cliche, but find some sort of balance by prioritizing your physical and mental health. The thing that happens when you prioritize your physical and mental health is you do perform better at work. You do have clarity to ask better questions. You do have better energy to complete the tasks, and you develop habits of being consistent and holding yourself accountable. Those are things that translate into being a productive human being all across the board, right?
It's a good reminder. What is your vision for the future of the asphalt industry, as well as the future of transport?
My vision is that it's not something that people just fall into. My vision is that it's more common in our education system so that more people have an idea of what it means to be in the asphalt industry and what options are available to you if you were to explore this area, because it's so many different streams you can go into.
What would you say some of your challenges have been in the transport industry, and how can we make it better for the future generation?
You have different types of mentorships. Different types of mentors. Some for your personal life, some for your career, and you may have mentors for a short period of time because they just serve for a certain season in your life. I really wish that during the beginning part of my career, I had a mentor who, especially because our industry is so, is such a mystery, especially because of that, I wish that the first few years, mentorship would have been available so that, you have someone to just talk about some of your questions that you may have. And also that person can help you and reassure you that what you need in order to be successful in your work life is completely different from what they teach you in school. How I feel like I'm making that better is by mentoring when I can, or over explaining everything when I get asked the question, because I want people to understand the why.
What really inspired you to pursue transportation And really, what piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
The one piece I think that is really interesting about a career in transportation is it does encompass all the different areas of civil engineering. So that was something that really drew me to the profession. One of the important pieces of advice I was given early in my career, and I would just remind myself of this, is that did I want to have 20 years of experience or 1 year of experience 20 times? And basically what that meant is that it enabled me to try new things, to work on different projects.
Given all this, like the career and things that you've passed through and the different experiences, what was really the greatest challenge that you have faced as a woman in academia, and especially a woman in engineering research?
I think that I didn't focus too much on the challenges. There were a number of challenges. There were very few women in engineering. I think what helped me really start my career in research and sort of gave me confidence was the fact that I had worked as an engineer. And I think that I've always tried my best to, focus on the skills, focus on the people. Really, being a professional is very, very important. And, trying to mentor and coach those that I worked with and to create an inclusive culture. One of the things that has also been, I think, an important part is to build teams. And so I like to work with teams. I work on teams. Again, I have a philosophy. It comes from the U.S. Army, actually.
Interesting.
It's lead, follow, or get out of the way. So if I'm leading something, I'm leading. If I'm following, if someone else is leading and they need my help, they need my support, I'm there to help them. And, sometimes I just have to get out of the way. And, what I found in academia is that, at different times, we all take leadership roles. We take follower roles. And sometimes we just need to be there in the background supporting what we're trying to accomplish and helping move that forward.
It's a very interesting view of how you put it into leadership or follower, or, sometimes get out of the way. It's really, I like this. Could you really shed the light a bit on durability and resilience of infrastructure given the challenges imposed by climate change?
Flooding is one of the biggest impacts that we have seen. We've been working on ways to build our pavement structures that they can handle more precipitation. If we can build our infrastructure well in the first place, then what we can actually do is, it lasts longer. Then it will also be sustainable.
I know, absolutely. I think this applies to a lot of fields where we need really to look beyond cost and let's look at other metrics assessments that bring much better things to society, to environment and whatnot.